This classic whistle-stop presentation is brought to you by Out West. Love the West? So do we. Click the icon or go to scvoutwest.com.
Our next stop is the Art Institute of Chicago, which has loaned us scenes from the miniature American Thorne Room collection. A whistle-stop special feature, the Thorne Rooms at the Art Institute of Chicago. Through the courtesy of the Abbeville Press and the Art Institute of Chicago, Whistle Stop is able to present some of the following scenes of the American rooms of the popular Thorne Miniature Room collection, originally presented to the Art Institute in 1940. Generations of visitors to the Art Institute of Chicago have been entranced by the Thorne Miniature Rooms. Mrs. Thorne was born Narcissa Niblack in 1882 in Vincennes, Indiana, to a prominent businessman. She accompanied her family on their travels to the East Coast and Europe. In 1901, she married James Ward Thorne, son of George R. Thorne, co-founder of Montgomery Ward and Company. In 1926, Mr. Thorne retired from the company, enabling him to travel extensively with his wife, as she continued to indulge in her childhood passion, collecting and later exhibiting miniatures. Mrs. Thorne has been credited with establishing one of the standard proportions used by miniaturists. 1 inch equals 1 foot. One of her 2 sons recalls that she went to her studio nearly every day, often for long hours, and at times there were 30 miniature rooms in various stages of completion in her tiny studio quarters. Often there were several craftsmen at work at the same time, one creating architectural shells, another doing plaster work, while a third carved the miniature moldings. Eugene Cupjack, considered by many to be the dean of American miniaturists, went to work for Mrs. Thorne in the late 1930s. His work appears in every American room. The 37 American rooms were designed and built between 1937 and 1940. Cupjack compared her to Walt Disney, a conceptual mastermind whose touch is manifested in every object, in every corner of every room. Mrs. Thorne decided which rooms to depict. She hired the draftsmen and architects to draw up the plans. She made the assignments, and she approved the final products. The workmanship of the antiques is often extraordinary. The clock in the Massachusetts drawing room can actually run. The basis of the tureens on the table and sideboard in the Virginia dining room were made from silver Liberty dimes. The Thorne Rooms are themselves an historic exhibit. They depict highlights from the history of architecture, interior design, and the decorative arts between 1600 and 1940. A team of loyal volunteers tends to the rooms. Windows and chandeliers are washed regularly, and the furniture is polished and reupholstered as needed. The silver, copper, and brass are polished at regular intervals. Mrs. Thorne continued to work with miniatures up until her passing in 1966, but she never again produced such rooms for public display. Currently, the Thorne miniature rooms, the European rooms, and the American rooms are off display for an indefinite period of time, while a new building is erected on the site where they were exhibited. The Thorne Rooms are indeed a form of theater. We know that the rooms are not real and that we are looking at an illusion, but we truly enjoy the experience. For more information on the Thorne Rooms, may we suggest Miniature Rooms, published by Abbeville Press and available through the Art Institute of Chicago and leading bookstores.
Shop, look, and listen right here at WhistleStopUSATV.com.